friend, Charlie Kirk, for everything that he's done to build Turning Point. It's incredible what he's done in a very short period of time into one of the most powerful grassroots organizations in the entire nation. It's really timing couldn't be better. Do you agree with that? His newest project for mobilizing early voters will be a difference maker in the next election, and it's going to make it a much more difficult job to cheat, because we're going to swamp them. You know, when you start swamping them. But they cheat. They'll do anything they can because they don't have policies. Open borders, no voter ID, high taxes, high interest rates. The only way they win is by cheating. We're also delighted to be joined by Representatives Matt Gaetz. Where's Matt Gaetz? I love Matt. Where? Our good friend Charlie Kirk, for everything that he's done to build Turning Point. It's incredible what he's done in a very short period of time into one of the most powerful grassroots organizations in the entire nation. It's really timing couldn't be better. Do you agree with that? His newest project for mobilizing early voters will be a difference maker in the next election, and it's going to make it a much more difficult job to cheat because we're going to swamp them. You know, when you start swamping them. But they cheat. They'll do anything they can because they don't have policies. Open borders, no voter ID, high taxes, high interest rates. The only way they win is by cheating. We're also delighted to be joined by Representatives Matt Gaetz. Where's Matt Gaetz? I love Matt. Where is he? He's great. Thank you, Matt. No, I'm glad you stayed, Matt. I'd be very disappointed. Now, he's a great gentleman and a brave man, too. I will tell you that. Ana Paulina Luna. Ana, thank you. Very great job. I watched those speeches. Another man that is going places, and he's going places fast. Spectacular person, friend of mine, Byron Donalds. Byron. Thank you, Byron. I can't miss him. Big and strong. A man running as a candidate, Republican candidate. I think he's going to do very well, too. A state that we won by a lot twice, and that's the state of Ohio. We love Ohio, and we love Bernie Moreno. Bernie, where are you, Bernie? Bernie Moreno. Bernie, I hear you're doing well. A man who's gone through hell, but he's kept going, and he's smart, and he's strong, and people love him. Not everybody, but people love him and respect him. Roger Stone. Where's Roger Stone? And another man, I say maybe I shouldn't be introducing him because he's a consumer man. He's not really a political man, but he turned out to be a very good political man. He understands what's happening. And every time I introduce him, he gets a tremendous applause. Mike Lindell. Mike. Good, Mike. He never lets us down. And speaking of fighters, this is a true fighter. This is a real fighter. This is not a fighter with the lips, the mouth, the teeth. This is the real deal. He's a champion fighter, UFC. He's got a huge fight coming up, one of the biggest. I don't know how the hell they do it, 400, 500 shots to the head. And he's smarter than hell. I mean, how does that work? But he's here with us, champion Colby Covington. Where's Colby? Now, if I ever saw him on the street, I'd say I could take him. But it would be over fast. It would not, if I was trying to impress somebody, it would not be impressive. Colby, thank you and good luck with the fight. We'll try and be there. Great. Thank you very much, Colby. One of the greatest, he has no idea I'm doing this, but that's okay. Because he likes to keep his life private. He's one of the greatest businessmen in America, anywhere in the world, actually. What he's done is unthinkable, unbelievable. He took Marvel, from a little company, bought it out of bankruptcy and made it into one of the biggest, most powerful movie companies anywhere in the world. One of the largest owners of Disney stock. I don't think he's thrilled with the woke Disney, but I read today where they're going the other way now. That's good. But his name is Ike Perlmutter, and he's a spectacular man, just spectacular. Where's Ike? Where's he? Got to be around here someplace. He wants no adulation either. He just loves working and employing lots of people. But he's done many, many companies, and he's been one of the most successful businessmen on the planet. 16 months from now, each of you will vote in the most important election of your lifetimes. This will be the most important election. With your country, your freedom, and your future on the line, we are in trouble. This country is in trouble. The election will decide whether your generation inherits a fascist country or a free country, whether you will have a rule of tyrants or the rule of law, whether Marxist radicals burn our civilization to the ground, which they're looking to do, or young patriots like you propel America to glorious new heights greater than ever before. Side by side, we're going to fight and we're going to win. We have no choice, actually. We're going to crooked Joe Biden. You know, I took the name off of Hillary. You know that, right? Everybody here knows that. It was crooked Hillary. I was very successful. But I think she's out of it now. But no, I thought it was more appropriate because he's crooked as you can get. This is the most dishonest president in history. And I wouldn't have said it. You know, I have pride in the presidency and respect for the presidency. I wouldn't have said it. But I say things about him over the last 3 weeks that I would have never said before about any president. He is a corrupt, horrible, incompetent man, and he's destroying our country, and we have to have it changed. And with God's help, we're going to save America on November 5th, 2024. And when I said originally in 2016, it's the most important election, I meant it. This is far more important. This is far more important because our country is ready to go down, ready to go possibly into World War III. And this won't be a war like others. This will be a nuclear war, and the level of destruction, it's called obliteration. It's not two army tanks going back and forth, shooting at each other. This is big stuff, and we have a man who's grossly incompetent, who doesn't even know where he is, who can't put two sentences together. And this is the man that's telling us what we're going to be doing. Under Biden, hope and opportunity for young people, so many young people here, are being utterly extinguished. In the Biden economy, 1/3 of Gen Z and millennials have no savings accounts and no saving whatsoever. They have nothing. They have nothing. Home ownership has been pushed out of reach for millions, with the rate of 30-year mortgages up 177% since I left office. And by the way, that's nothing compared to energy, where we were energy independent. And now you look at what's happened to energy. We're getting our energy from Venezuela. You believe that one? Real wages collapsed 26 months in a row. Real wages, because of inflation and various other things that are happening. Typical Americans have seen their incomes crushed by $7,400 a year since Biden took office. Think of that, each year, $7,400. That comes out of very, very official offices. This is the number, the biggest pay cut in many decades. Nobody's really seen anything like it, I don't believe. Millions of illegal aliens have stormed across our borders. It's an invasion of our country. That's an invasion, just like a military invasion. Our rights and our liberties are being torn to shreds, and your country is being turned into a third world hellhole ruled by censors, perverts, criminals, and thugs. But as I stand here tonight, I know that the young conservative warriors, and you are warriors of Turning Point, will never let this happen. You can't let this happen. Every day you defend our values, and you never yield, and you never will yield to the radical left. That's why you are the ones who are going to take back America. You are the ones who are going to make America great again. From the earliest days of our republic, every generation has been called to defend America. You always have that defend, but people say it not with the bravado that they say it now, because now they really mean it. We're in big trouble. Today, the greatest threat is not from the outside. The greatest threat is the sick, sinister, and evil forces trying to destroy our nation from within. If you have the right leadership, China's not a problem. If you have the right leadership, Russia's not a problem. They would have never done what they did. Believe me, they would have never done. And I spoke to Vladimir. Did you see the other day, 2 days ago, he's talking to the president of Ukraine, and he said, Vladimir, he meant Zelensky. Vladimir over here. Oh, I mean, that was one of the good days, too. Vladimir, I'd like to thank you for being here. Actually, he didn't know he made a mistake that time. Pauline, your historic mission is to liberate America from these communists, fascists, Marxists, globalists, and warmongers who want to plunder the future of our country. And that's exactly what we are going to do together when we all together become the 47th president of the United States of America. Thank you very much. And by the way, Charlie told me this is the biggest crowd they've ever had, and they had a larger room because there are a lot of people outside that filled that. This is the biggest crowd. And I think you loved our 4 years, but I also think you've watched the last 3 years, and you draw a comparison, it makes it even more so. But I do appreciate it, but it's a record crowd, and that's great. And I'm very happy for Turning Point and Charlie and everybody else. They've come a long way. They've come a long way. I will quickly stop Joe Biden's inflation nightmare, worst inflation in many years. They really don't know how many. They say 52, but I think it's much higher than that. Restore energy independence and bring down interest rates so that young people can once again afford to buy a house and a car, the basic American dream. The American dream is dead under Biden. We will have the American dream back very soon. We will rapidly rebuild the greatest economy in the history of the world. We had that, we did it twice. I did it the first time, and then we had COVID come in, a gift from China, and that came in. And when I gave it up, we had a rigged election. And when I gave up the reins, so to speak, we had the stock market was higher than it was before COVID came. The day before COVID came, and we had a higher stock market, despite the hell that the whole world had to go through because of what came out of the Wuhan labs. And I used to say that the Wuhan labs, they used to censor me. They used to say, oh, that's terrible. It turned out to be, we were right. We were right about a lot of things. We're right about almost everything, maybe everything. But we'll do that once again. After 50 years of leftist domination of the universities, I will take bold action to reclaim our colleges from the communist left. Anti-American radicals will no longer be given a free hand to dominate our institutions of higher education. Using my leverage, and it's a tremendous leverage, and I used it before very well. We put penalties on them if they wouldn't let conservatives or anybody speak. Big penalties. All of a sudden, everybody was invited to speak. I don't know if anybody knows that, but you sort of felt it. But it was very good. But it was somewhat artificial because they were doing it because they would have had huge monetary penalties. But at least we were getting the word out. Everybody should be able to speak. But using my leverage over college accreditors, we are going to choke off the money to schools that aid the Marxist assault on our American heritage and on Western civilization itself. The days of subsidizing communist indoctrination in our colleges will soon be over. And, I will say this is I would say, very largely conservative group. I call it common sense group because I think a lot of conservatism is common sense. When they ask you for a definition, it starts with common sense. But I tell them very often that you will be shocked to see colleges, even the ones that you hear are most liberal. We have tremendous numbers of people out there. I think even more. They don't speak up as much, but they're starting to speak up. You know, when you see Bud Light and when you see all of the things that have happened, I mean, you take a look at that. They're down 37%. The company is, nobody's ever seen it. And you know, the radical left has always used that. They've used their buying power. They'd sort of name a company, go after a company. We've never done it. That just happened by osmosis, actually, but it's also happening. I heard Target mentioned today and various others. And we have tremendous power to make sure that our country goes down the right tracks. We're going to smash the Marxist diversity, equity, and inclusion bureaucracies that are driving up tuition costs and sticking you with crushing debt. And for any universities that want federal student loan dollars, we will also require them to offer real job placement and career services, as well as options for accelerated and low-cost degrees. These institutions have gone up. The pricing has gone up more than just about any industry. You look at their costs, and they drive them up because the federal government gives loans to everybody. So it's more expensive, but somebody has to pay back that loan, except under Biden. But the Supreme Court decided that that wasn't going to happen. My administration will strictly enforce last month's landmark Supreme Court decision to move our country forward with a merit-based system of education. In other words, if you get great marks and if you've worked hard and you did all of the things, you're going to get into that college. Somebody with half of the energy and the marks and all of the things necessary to get in, that's what we have to have. We have to have our absolute most brilliant people. This is such a competitive world. We have to have our most brilliant people going to the most brilliant schools and universities. And now that's what we have. These are some of the things that we've done for this country, and they are big. And a lot of them people didn't think would happen. And if colleges persist in continuing to violate your civil rights, we will have their endowments severely taxed and fined, and a portion of the seized funds used as restitution for the victims of these racist practices. They're really racist practices. In addition, I want to close the Department of Education and move education back.
All right, we're back here. Now the president speaking about education. Obviously, we're at a turning point event, and it's just fitting that we, 50 years of.
That's a big thing. You know, we have the worst education system just about in the world. We spend more per student by double and triple than any other country. And yet we're ranked at the bottom of the list, like out of a group of 40 nations, we're 38, 39. And yet we're double and triple per pupil the cost. We're going to move it back to the states, let the states. We'll have a little tiny little, just to make sure they're teaching everybody English, a little bit of guide. We want to make sure they're teaching English, but a little tiny coordination, but not much. Like how about an office the size of this podium, one person? Nevada, you got to do a little bit better. No, we're going to do a job. We're going to do a job, and we're going to have great education. And, it's much more pinpointed this way also, and the parents can be much more involved. It's not this big bureaucracy. And then we'll be able to sell all those buildings that are occupied right now for so much money. So much money. Pay off debt, pay off a lot of the debt, and we have plenty of it. Under my leadership, we will bring back free speech in America. Just last week, we've had some amazing rulings, you know that. Just last week, in a historic ruling, a brilliant federal judge ordered the Biden administration to cease and desist from their illegal and unconstitutional censorship in collusion with social media. In other words, the election was rigged. That's just another way of saying, it. You can say stuffing the ballots, and we have that too. We have everything you can have, but that's another way of saying. In fact, they did a report, some of the great pollsters, Fabrizio and McLaughlin and some of the great ones, and they said anywhere from 10 to 17 points difference because of what they were allowed to do. So that was a rigged election in so many different ways. A lot of this is just coming to light. If you saw the FBI Twitter, if you saw what happened with Facebook, DOJ, terrible, terrible thing. If we don't have free elections and great elections and honest elections where everybody believes in the election, and we don't have strong borders, we don't have a country. And we're going to bring our country back. We're going to take our country back. Under the next Trump administration, the censorship industrial complex will be defunded, dismantled, and destroyed. We're going to destroy it 100%. And any federal bureaucrat who had a hand in illegally silencing the American people will be fired immediately. Is that okay? This is just the start of what we will do for America's young people. We have to do it for the young people because the young people want to have a great country as they get older. They want to have a great country for their children and their grandchildren. It's no surprise that we're up very big in the polls, very, very big. We have been like a rocket ship. It's been very nice to watch. I'm pleased to report that I heard you weren't too happy with this particular network, Fox, but now I was watching. Now I understand you exactly, but not exactly friendly. But in the Fox poll that was just released, which makes it even bigger if you think about it, we lead the field by 50 points among young voters. Think of that. With Trump at 64% and a gentleman named Ron DeSanctimonious at 14%. He's at 14%. And I don't know why he's not here this couple of days, but he should be here. He should be here representing himself. In this week's morning console poll of voters nationwide, it's Trump 56%, DeSantis at 17%. In Ohio, we're ahead by 44 points. In Tennessee, we're up by 49 points. In New Hampshire, we have a great team and we love those people. We lead by 37 points. And it's Trump by 54-18 in Iowa, 55-11 in New Hampshire, 59-12 in South Carolina, and 65-10 in Nevada. Kobe, that's where Kobe comes from. You hear that, Kobe? So they have plenty of money to pay you when you win your fights, which you always seem to do. Then we're leading Biden by a lot. In the recent echelon poll of swing states, we're up by 7 points over Biden. You know, it doesn't sound, it's actually a lot, but it doesn't sound like much. You know, they have a natural advantage. They have certain states, rigged or not, I don't know. We'll figure that out at some point. But they have certain states, and it's 7's a lot, but we have another poll. We're up 10, we're up 11, we're up 9, and we're up 12. That's a lot. You know, hard to believe. That's a lot. You'd almost say, who the hell would vote for this guy? The whole thing is such a mess. But they have a natural constituency. What can I tell you? You know who the constituency is. And a lot of that constituency, like unions as an example, a lot of them are voting for us. Maybe the top guy who's a natural taken care of by the Democrats. But I'll tell you, those unions are voting for us. And a lot of people that traditionally don't vote Republican, they're just fed up. You know, they're Democrats, but you have a lot of great people that love our country. They want to make our country great again. They want to make America great again. They're going to vote for us. We had a big turnover and a big crossover in 2016. We have it now too. We had it in 2020. Actually, we had it much more in 2020. We got a hell of a lot more votes than we did in 2016. And by the way, in the brand new Florida Atlantic poll, good poll, Atlantic University, we are totally dominating DeSantis right here in the state of Florida. So we want him to get home and take care of insurance because you have the highest insurance in the nation. And the bill that they passed made it very good for the insurance company. All the money that he's using, which now is stopped because all of the people that were supporting him, they're saying, hey, wait a minute, you're down by 57 points. You know, they may like him or they may not, but they don't want somebody that's down 57 points. And, they're not stupid people. They're smart people. In fact, all of a sudden, I'm getting calls from people. They're saying, sir, I just called to say hello. I said, I thought you were a DeSantis follower. He goes, no, not at all. That was a false report. All right. It was never that close, by the way. It was never that close, but it was at 21, 22 points. That's a lot different than 50 and 60 points. But running for a hopeless cause is election. It should be used to support the party winning against crooked Joe Biden in November 2024. We got to fight together. We have to all get together and we have to fight. I watched some of those interviews given by Tucker yesterday. Tucker's terrific, and I watched some of the interviews, and I'll tell you, it wasn't a pretty picture. If you watched them, they were bad. I hope you didn't watch, because it would like life-ending, career-threatening for those people. Some of them, I won't tell you who, but some of them were really bad. Now is the time. When a guy he's polling at one. One guy actually I'm sure it was a typo. Probably it was because so many people vote illegally, so it probably wasn't a typo. He's at 0 with an arrow pointing left. And I say, how the hell does that happen, Matt Gaetz? How does that happen? And you know what happens? It's 0. That's because you have more than one voter. So, you have a family that votes 19 times instead of 2 times. Now is the time when Republicans should be using those funds to build a state-of-the-art vote-gathering operation to swamp the Democrats' cheating and ballot harvesting. Instead, the sanctimonious and his establishment handlers are wasting such precious time and resources to divide the party. They're dividing the party. Although he's dropping so quickly, he's probably not going to be in second place much longer. I wonder who he's going to be. Maybe it's Vivek. Could be. He's doing well. Right when we should be uniting against the unprecedented weaponization of law enforcement by crooked Joe Biden and the communist left. So I took the name Crooked away from Hillary, and we gave her a new name. Beautiful. I call beautiful. It's just so beautiful. But I took it away because I don't believe in the same name for 2 people. I don't like that. And I've never done this before. I have it, and you have to live with that name for the rest of your life. I'll go over the different names, but I won't, because many of them are now friends of mine, okay? But I took the name Crooked off, and I gave it to Joe Biden because he's so corrupt, okay? So I just think it was better than Sleepy Joe. I came up with Sleepy Joe. Maybe he was less sleepy than we thought. Okay. As you know, Biden recently ordered his top political opponent, I think that happens to be me, indicted and arrested right in the middle of a presidential election that Biden is losing very badly. This is a continuation of the greatest witch hunt of all time, which has been fully exposed in the Durham report, the IG report by Inspector General Horowitz, who did a fantastic report, and by great writers, journalists, and pundits all over the world, like John Solomon, Lee Smith, Greg Jarrett, Sarah Carter, and so many others. And I have to tell you, they don't get Pulitzers for this, but if you look at people like Sean Hannity, right? Sean Hannity and Laura Ingraham has been really good. And I'll tell you what, Tucker Carlson, I used to say, for me, I used to say Tucker's a solid 6 out of 10, but the last year and a half, he was a 10. That's probably why they canned him, right? He was a 10. Now he's been great. Jesse Waters and Megyn Kelly. She was the one that gave me that terrible question where I said only Rosie O'Donnell. Thank God I came up with that. I would have been, because she had plenty of other names going. I didn't like that. The place went crazy. Nobody ever heard the other names, so I considered that a very good answer. But that was a hell of a question. But she has been all in. She's been great. And by the way, not to me. She's been great for the country. She wants our country to survive. So it's not for me. Greg Kelly over at Newsmax. The Newsmax people have been really, really terrific. Newsmax has been terrific. Pete Hegseth is great. Rachel Duffy has been great. Will has been
great. They have a terrific show. You know, not all of Fox is bad. I tell you, it's just, but there is an attitudinal, right? It's attitudinal. Get Biden to say that, okay? But there's so many others at many different outlets now. They're seeing it. And even people that weren't necessarily with us, they see that we were right, that our country's going to hell in a handbasket, and they want to have a country. They want to have a great country. The primary purpose of what they're doing is also very simple, and it's never been done in this country anywhere near like is happening now. It's called election interference. It's a form of cheating. You know, it's going to be hard for them to cheat the way they cheated when they used COVID to win an election. This is election interference. It's indicting people, making people go through hell, destroying their families, doing things that nobody ever thought was possible. And this is really how low they've fallen. This is an attempt to win the 2024 election. And so far, and I hope it continues, but so far it's had the opposite effect. I mean, it's really lifted us to new heights because people know it's all bullshit, okay? They know it. They rigged the presidential election of 2020. We're not going to allow them to rig the presidential election of 2024. And Charlie and all of the people at Turning Point, I know, are going to be very active in the election, very, very active, and they're not going to let it happen. And he's going to be almost, you could say, in charge of certain states that we won by a lot. And they just, what they did was so terrible to this country. The only thing I can say is we've now seen how bad it is, how bad their policies are. So in one way, that's the only way, but in one way, we're showing the world, we're showing the country how bad they are. Open borders, how stupid is open borders. All of these things that they've done to destroy our country, so we can actually be more effective in the next 4 years because of it, because it's so bad what they've done. Charging a former president of the United States under the Espionage Act of 1917. This is meant for developing a nuclear weapon in your basement. Is one of the most outrageous and vicious legal theories ever put forward in an American court of law. It's considered one of the meanest, most vicious acts. It's a very, very unfair and horrible act that was passed in 1917. And for many, many years in Congress, they've been trying to get rid of it because it's so heinous, it's so horrible. And by the way, Biden has 1,850 boxes of documents. Many of them are classified, and he's not allowing them to stay at University of Delaware.